So last week I started the sort of buildings and urban scenes project. Hiya! Let's just sort this chair out. So last week I went over basic two-point perspective. So I think this was the one I did in class, and I added a few other bits to it. So really the basic idea is that with two-point perspective, you'll have a horizontal line which is your eye level. So if I was taking the photograph there or standing there drawing, my eye would come up to, say, this window bar about here. And then anything that we know is horizontal will be some sort of angle. Above that level, they'll form some sort of angle. And the angles will fan out as you're going up, and get steeper and steeper. And then below the eye level, they'll fan the other way, get steeper that way. And then you'd have vanishing point this side, vanishing point to that side. So that's quite a nice little exercise. Just drawing, it could be an actual building or just an imaginary building, and trying to have your vanishing points perhaps within the paper, and you can then construct something there. So that's that. I was thinking I'd perhaps use this image because I used that one this morning. So I've got a few copies of that one if anybody wants that one. That's just a view down from the road there, which was this morning's demo. When I go out sketching, so these are the sort of things that I do when I'm sketching, and I usually use what's it come on? Should be a fine line at the bottom. Yeah, this one. Right, okay. So I usually sketch with these little fine line effects. This is a bit thin. I tend to use a zero. This one's 0.2, but I find like 0.3 or 0.5 is quite nice. That is a bit too thin. The other one I can't seem to find. So 0.3 I think is quite nice. These are waterproof pens. So once the line's down, that will dry. And then I can put something over the top, like a little bit of watercolour or some more pens, and that line will then stay still. Can't believe I've lost that pen. This morning. Oh, there it is. Let's get the one that works, because that one's drying up. Yeah, so I tend to do all my line work with these. That's a bit better. And then these are brush pens. So these are about £3 to £4 each, they're not particularly cheap. But these, I can just get some tone down very quickly. So I usually use 3 shades of these. That's a very dark one. And this one should be in the middle, but I think it's drying up a bit. Oh no, that's right, that's the one in the middle. So I find 3 tones works quite nicely. And that's how I do these drawings. And then I've just put a little bit of white pastel pencil for the highlights. And this one just using the white paper. So that's how I quite like to draw and that's about. I brought this book in. This is Urban Sketching. And urban sketching is like a worldwide thing, like an organisation, sort of organisation. People just meet up, maybe on a monthly basis. There's a London group, and they've got like a programme of where they're going, and they'll just meet up, and you'll get 50 to 70 people will turn up and just draw for the day. So it's quite a nice way to work. It's all working from life, so just turning up somewhere and drawing. And I brought this book in because there's quite a few different examples of different styles of working, really. And quite a lot of it is pen. Some people are putting a bit of watercolour on. So I'll leave that there for anybody who wants to have a look at that. But it's quite a nice, book with different styles of working. So Just like that. Stick that there. Then, if I was going to draw a scene like this, the way I tend to go about it is, I tend to just start with something in the distance. So I start with, there's a little building there. I'll try and draw it a little bit bigger. And I'll just draw a section through here. I probably want to take it the other way around, really. That way. So I find it easy to work from small things to bigger things. So there's a little building there. I'd make sure I've got enough room below and above. So on this paper, I'm thinking probably about here. And I'll draw it a little bit bigger than, I'm not going to try and draw everything. So I'll just draw it bigger so you can see. So that could be that building in the distance. I find it quite hard to draw on an easel actually like this. It's easier to just do it on a sketchbook. If you're working, on paper, try and have your picture nice and square onto you. And with if you work in a sketchbook, I'll find, when I drew that line, I just literally stood there like that and just held the drawing. But maybe lean it on the edge of the table or something like that. Drawing flat is quite difficult because it's hard to judge the angles then. So if you can just angle it up a little bit, that would help. So yeah, start that bit, and then think there's a little house just next door to that, just slightly higher. I think there's a chimney there. And then we've got this building here. So that goes below the level of that one, so that's down to about there, then comes up quite a bit higher, up to about there. And seeing that the sort of end of that really. Has to be something like that. Chimney there. And then there's another little building on the side there. So again, I'm just looking at how far up that comes and how far below. There's actually a few cars. I'm just going to ignore the cars, but if you wanted to put cars in, sort of draw them as you see them really. So that, I think, is, just make that, sorry, that is going to be a little bit of an angle at the bottom. So all the stuff I was doing on perspective last week, when I'm drawing something like that, I don't really construct sort of eye level lines and vanishing points. I just judge the angles and I just judge the shapes. So I just look at how, I tend to find it easier to work with smaller things first and then gradually work out to the bigger things and just kind of let the whole thing expand. That bit there is just about level with the bottom of that chimney, so that would come up there like that. It's quite a thin front to that building. There's something there like a sign, so that can go in about there. And then windows in there. And then onto this bit here. So again, that corner bit is a little bit higher than the chimney, so I need to start about there. That can come up to about there. I probably would draw the front facing first, looking at these windows here, to see how high the bottom is. And the bottom's come to about here, so that one can go in there. Another one here, and the final one is about there. And then that gives me this edge here then. I can work up to there and then carry that line on. So sometimes I'll start a line, just go so far with it and carry it on later. And this bit of thatch comes up here. And this top angle I know will be steeper than that one. So if I've got that angle, I know that one's got to go a bit steeper. We've got another chimney here. And that will go the other way, that side. Like that. Chimney top. And back down that way. Hiya. So a bit of a wobbly chimney, but that would carry on. And then this next roof, so basically, I'm working out this side. Once I've got this side in, where that is, so it's keep going back to where I start and just check things against that. So I think that roof level is about there on this to that chimney. That comes out like that. Once I've got that side, I can then scan across and see how things, you know, the height of the bits of the building on this side against that side. So in some ways it's easy if I get that side in first, and then I can see that while I'm drawing this bit. I won't go any further than that, but once I've got something like that, that's when I can very quickly either cut a bit of this, you sort of pens in, very quickly add a bit of tone, or you could use watercolours. And this is where watercolours can be quite nice, because you can very quickly add something that brings a bit of life and a bit of substance to the drawings. Let's see what we've got here. That's a little bit of that for this bit here. That's all a kind of stony colour. And it doesn't necessarily have to be too precise. Sometimes just varying it a little bit can give you a more interesting look. The thatch roof, I can go a little bit darker with that. Just a little bit of windows. Like a sort of creamy coloured end. I could have painted that cream actually to start with. Sort of quickly give it some sort of substance. So that can be a nice medium, particularly if you go out sketching or interested in going out sketching. It's fairly minimal equipment, a little watercolour box, a couple of pens, or just pens and a sketchbook. So, so on Sunday, Southend Plein Air Group are meeting at Chalkhill Park. So if anybody fancies an hour and a half sketching or painting, wrap up wall, meet at 11 o'clock by Chalkhill Hall.
Whereabouts in Chalkhill are they meeting?
Going to meet by the hall. You know the house in the middle, where the art club meet.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll meet by there at 11 o'clock, and then just usually do about an hour and a half. So if anybody fancies joining us, you're very welcome.
Sundays, you usually go on Sundays, you ever go on Saturdays? Is it Sunday?
It's kind of a Sunday
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, that one is. Yeah. Okay. Good to go. Yep.
My dog.
Yeah, bring your dog. Yeah, bring your dog. Talk a bit drawing, a bit of modelling with your dog.
Walk up there.
Yeah. Yeah. Good.
Yeah.